So I was really happy. I had a job. All of a sudden, my back gave out, and I was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, and so I became fully disabled, and I became homeless. Couldn't pay rent. I couldn't do anything.
Went through some trials and tribulations and ended up out on the streets. I was still working at a car wash, I was going to school, and every night when I'd get off of work, I'd just take my bag and go find a place by myself. I didn't talk to other people, I didn't hang out with other people, and it took about 3 weeks before I got weird. And it was all just from not talking to anybody for 3 weeks.
People kept telling me get a job. I even had one person tell me to jump off a bridge, kill myself. I really did. I lost myself.
Lots of people find they have to drink and use to get away from the streets, to fall asleep at night. And I became one of those people who started drinking quite heavily.
I believe I was on 16th Street Mall. I was doing what's called panhandling. And that was flying a sign, trying to get some money from people passing by. And some of the missionaries were doing their walkthrough and started talking to us.
Missionaries and I would see them every day in the same spot.
And they don't just say, oh, how you doing, and then move on to the next person. They'll sit with you forever until you are done talking about everything that's going on. And that's how they treat you like a person.
Went through several of the soup lines and came across Christ in the City down in the park one day. Went and got lunch, and a couple of the kids came over and sat down, said, hey, can we sit and talk with you for a while? And that was how I first met Joe.
And we just started talking. He had a good sense of humor, so we immediately just hit it off.
Many times I found Wednesdays in the park were one of those days when I could leave the bottle aside and go and just have fun for a while. But at the same time, some of the biggest hands up that I've gotten have been from that group. I still have the letters that Joe and Bob wrote to me.
A few tickets had racked up just from simple stuff from sleeping on the streets.
They agreed to write me letters of, I guess, character witness to the judge, which were definitely pivotal in helping keep me out of jail. And there were several times that I got those letters out of my bag when I was at the bottom of the barrel and feeling terrible, and I'd get those letters out and read them, and it made me feel good about myself again, which was, esteem is one of the first things you lose when you're sleeping in a gutter or behind the education building. It's almost like they're little tokens of something good in a point in my life where everything was bad. Just knowing that there was still people that thought I was a good person, that treated me like a good person. That meant a lot to me too.
Our friends on the street don't feel judged by the missionaries because they quickly find out that we truly do love them, and we learn to love them through our spiritual formation.
What that looks like in our lives is liturgy of the hours, the prayer of the church, a daily mass. We hit confession hard because we need all the sources of grace that we possibly can get. Before we'd walk on the streets and before we'd go out and meet friends, we'd just say a little prayer to the Holy Spirit. It's just simply remembering that God is the effector and we are the instruments.
We live in a house with 20 of our peers, 4 to 6 to a room, and our faith is challenged to go from our head to our hearts. It's humbling, and it makes you a lot less judgmental because you realize we are weak and we're all beggars at the feet of Christ.
I've never had anyone give me unconditional love before, and that's how I found God through you guys, is because I honestly felt God's love unconditionally through the Christ in the City folks.
When they first met, Anna was just a stranger to Nicole. But then she started to get to know her, and Nicole saw, like, all right, this is a missionary that I can trust. But then she became more than that for Nicole. She became a friend.
Being homeless like this, it can make you extremely depressed. And if you actually have somebody that listens and helps and things like that, you can actually get yourself back out of that depression state and into where you actually feel like you can do things.
We found with the chronically homeless that real progress begins to happen when someone they trust is willing to accompany them.
Part of our training at Christ in the City is to become knowledgeable with the programs and resources around Denver, specifically for the homeless.
So if one of our friends on the streets needs a place to sleep, is interested in detox and any of those,
we know exactly where to bring them and when.
Through Christ in the City, I was actually able to find resources and get myself some housing.
Finally had the courage one day to mention my problems to Joe and Bob and Blake, and I found that instead of being judged for it, people were willing to help get me into programs.
With Jake, we knew about Step 13, and from this training and knowledge of the program, it was the perfect fit when we realized he needed the help and was willing to take it.
Within 30 minutes of hanging up the phone, had lost the courage to go down there.
Jake had attempted entering the program before, but he met some obstacles that he didn't have the strength to overcome himself.
I met people that were willing to walk down there with me because I was scared to go by myself.
I called him every day, and one day at lunch at the park, I told him that I'd just walk with him to Step 13 right then and there, and I think that's what gave him the courage to actually do it.
So I'm glad I found that place and had people that were willing to help me move, help me, keep up the motivation to keep going back. Yeah, the 20 years before Step 13 was a disaster. But the first 20 days in just changed my life. I wouldn't have gotten into Step 13 without your guys' help. So, those things all kind of build on each other.
It's good to have really awesome friends, people that don't judge, no matter what.
You need programs and resources to get people off the streets. But resources and programs aren't enough either. You need friendship to bring them through it.
What Christ in the City really does is they go in on an equal playing field from the get-go and really work to find out who people are, and then when they've created a positive relationship with people, they then, if the individual is interested in moving in a more positive direction, kind of point them in that direction. So I think it's an invaluable service. I actually called you guys the Special Forces. Yeah, the Catholic Special Forces.
Those experiencing homelessness absolutely need the services and the ministry that we provide here at Catholic Charities. But what Christ in the City provides is just as important, and I see that working together, we will make the biggest impact.
I feel privileged that I've gotten the opportunity to know the Christ in the City organization further. I value and respect the work the missionaries are doing.
We couldn't do it without the Christ in the City missionaries, and we're glad to be a part of the ministry.
Christ in the City is not only teaching all of its missionaries and forming them in as the foundation, but is also evangelizing our culture, is evangelizing college students, evangelizing families, evangelizing parishes, and showing them that we're called to go to the outskirts.
We want the world to know that they can get involved, that they can also have friends on the street. And we're willing to help them do that through Lunch in the Park, through other programs.
Lunch in the Park is a huge opportunity to reconcile the homeless with society.
Christ in the City gives you an opportunity to talk to the homeless in a very safe and comfortable environment. So I stopped giving money at the stoplights because I don't think it really helps them. If you can support Christ in the City financially, that's wonderful, because you'll be supporting missionaries who are going to sit down and get to know the homeless. And when you get to know somebody on the street, you actually have a chance to love them. And that's going to change them, and it's going to change you.
We attended the training and we were both nervous, coming in, and my son said, "Mom, I'm kind of scared." So I said, "Hey, I'm nervous too. So let's just go and see what this is all about." But so we got a chance to say hello to everybody as they came through the line, and they encouraged us in the orientation to actually sit down and dine with the folks that had received the food. So we did that. We just sat down and had a chat.
I met a lady named Dorian. She was there with her son Caleb, and she was telling me her whole story about coming back to Catholicism. And I could just see that twinkle in her eye when she was talking about it, that it wasn't just a story that she was telling. It was something that she'd gone through, and it was changes that had happened. And it showed me that there still are people that are religious, and it's for a good reason.
This shows our friends it's not just 20 missionaries who care about them, but it's the greater society too. And they are part of this greater community, and together we welcome them back.
The people with Christ in the city have always made me feel at ease and like there's somebody out there who cares.
They actually care about us. Like, they're cool. I like hanging out with them and just talking to them.
When you can bring just that much tender and gentle into someone's life that has maybe almost no hope, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, right?
These missionaries out here give us so much hope and show us so much of God's love out here.
Loving others was not important to me before Christ in the City. I did 2 years at Notre Dame. It was just like everything that I wanted was like right there. I was playing Ultimate Frisbee. I had really funny friends. I loved the classes I was in, but I was experiencing a real dryness. And looking back on it, it was the dryness that any human soul experiences when its existence is centered on itself. It wasn't about me at Christ in the City. It was about our friends in the street, and it was about the community. And the only question that was given to me was how I can give. And that was exactly what my soul needed. It was what I was thirsting for.
Coming out of college, I very much knew that I wanted to serve, but I wasn't ready to give my life fully away. I was like, a year of service, like I can do that. I can give a year away. And so it's very much that letting go for a year and entering into Christ in the City that allowed me to take a huge step to get me to the point of, a second year first philosophy seminarian right now at St. John Vianney.
I grew in every way possible. Through Christ in the City, I was really able to find what my passions are, what was important to me, what I identify with.
Christ in the City has taught me how to love myself and others because that's what Christ does to us, and I truly believe it now.
Yeah, I can definitely say that the group changed my life. So life is completely different now from what it was 6 months ago. The dreams that I have are totally different now. They're dreams about moving towards stuff instead of running away from stuff.
I mean, even at my lowest of the low, they have watched me build up, build myself up, and they have been with me the entire way. Honestly, probably putting the mortar between my bricks, bringing me up like a foundation. So my husband and I were previously married through common law marriage through the courts, but now we want to, through Christ in the City and Holy Name, we're getting actual ceremony and doing the ceremony for real and with people that love us, and Lord knows we love them.
When I think of what my life will be like as a priest, I think of how I will reach as many people as I can. As a priest, I'm not just accountable to the Catholics that will be in the parish that I'm assigned to. I'm accountable to everybody that's within that boundary. What Christ in the City has taught me is how to be accountable to my brothers and sisters who are on the street, suffering and struggling every day. And that is going to change me as a man who wants to be a father, who wants to be a shepherd, who's called to give his life away in a super profound and beautiful way, but also a way that I'm accountable to every day of my life. So I recommend Christ in the City as an organization to support, as an organization to give your time, your talent, your gifts, your support too, so that they can continue to be not only transform themselves, but they can transform others and transform you.